In the early days of the NICU, it can be hard to look past all the tubes and cables covering your tiny baby. But among all those wires, there's one system that is more critical than everything else: the breathing support, keeping those tiny lungs moving. Hi, this is Never Too Early. Today, we're going to untangle those wires and talk about why and the how behind the breathing support. The biggest reason extreme preemies struggle to breathe isn't just that their lungs are small, it's that they're missing a critical substance called surfactant. Here's how to picture breathing. The air sacs deep inside the lungs are like tiny little balloons. Every time we breathe out, those little balloons want to collapse, the way any balloon does when the air goes out. Surfactant is a soapy, fatty substance that coats the inside of those balloons and stops them from sticking shut. Without it, every single breath is like trying to inflate a balloon from scratch. It's exhausting and eventually impossible. The timeline matters here. Surfactant production in the womb begins around week 24 to 25 of pregnancy, but it isn't sufficient to sustain breathing until around week 30 to 32. My son was born at 23 weeks, and his lungs hadn't begun producing it yet. The treatment is direct. Doctors deliver artificial surfactant through a tube directly into the lungs. And then it buys time, keeping the air sacs open while the baby's own body slowly develops the ability to produce surfactant naturally. It's one of the most important medical advances in the history of neonatal care, and it's now a routine part of treating extreme preemies. The road to breathing independently is rarely a straight line. It's more of a gradual step down process, and it can go back and forth for a while before it sticks. Step 1: Intubation. For extreme preemies, this is usually immediate. A breathing tube is placed down the throat and directly into the lungs, connected to a ventilator that breathes for the baby. My son was intubated from the moment he was born. Because the tube passes through the vocal cords, the baby makes no sound at all. I thought extreme preemies just didn't cry yet, and I had no idea he was silent because of the tube. That meant I had no way of knowing if he was in pain or uncomfortable. I had to rely entirely on the monitors and the nurses to read him for me. Step 2: CPAP. When he was strong enough to have the tubes removed, he moved onto CPAP, the bigger mask or headgear you will often see in photos of NICU babies. CPAP does not breathe for the baby. It delivers a continuous flow of pressurized air that keeps the airways open so that the baby can do the work themselves. The day my baby was extubated and tried CPAP for the first time, I heard his voice for the first time. A short, tiny scream, and it was a big surprise, of course, and the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. It is important to note that going back and forth between CPAP and ventilator is completely normal. A baby might move to CPAP, get tired, and need to be re-intubated for a rest. This is not a setback. This is just the baby pacing themselves while their lungs build strength. Step 3: Nasal cannula. The small prongs that sit just under the nose. This is also often the first time parents get to see most of their baby's face. That moment is its own milestone. For some extreme preemies, the nasal cannula journey doesn't end at the hospital. We came home still on oxygen with a giant tank delivered to the middle of our home, and the long tube that connected my baby to the tank was a bit like a leash, determining how far we could move around at home. When we did go outside, a portable tank and the monitor accompanied us wherever we had to go. Step 4: Independence. No tubes, no cables, and no prongs. Just breathing without support. For most extreme preemies, This could take months, not just weeks. In our case, my child got off the oxygen tank completely a few weeks after we came home. And that was the real finish line. It was true freedom to finally not to be attached to anything anymore. You also see some sensors with the cables attached to the baby. Some of them are related to breathing that are worth knowing about. The pulse oximeter, the glowing red light usually taped on the foot, measures the percentage of oxygen in the blood continuously. This is the SpO2 number you'll see on the monitor, and it's one of the most watched numbers in the NICU. The respiration leads are the small sticky pads on the chest that count every breath and send the data to the monitor in real time. And the transcutaneous CO2 sensor, a small circular heated pad on the skin, measures whether the baby is successfully exhaling carbon dioxide. If CO2 builds up, it means the lungs aren't clearing waste effectively, which is something the team adjusts ventilator setting to address. This shows how early treatment has a big emphasis on measuring and supporting breathing. For us, the breathing journey was 5 months from start to finish, from intubation at birth through every step down to finally coming off a home oxygen tank few weeks after we came home. It took 5 months until I could see my son's bare face without anything in the way. I remember how impassable the next step always seemed until it happened. If you are in the middle of this right now, I know you can't wait to reach the next step. Nobody can tell you exactly when it will come, but what I can tell you is that it does come. In the NICU, so much information is coming at you while you're still shaking from the shock of the premature birth itself. My hope is that this episode gives you a chance to understand these developmental changes on your own term in your own time. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next one. This is Never Too Early.